I woke up on my 35th birthday to a text message that would eventually expose everything I thought I knew about my marriage. My wife Ashley had been typing something, then deleting it, then typing again. The three dots kept appearing and disappearing on my phone screen for what felt like forever before her message finally came through. "Hey babe, really sorry, but I have to bail on the company barbecue today. Shane is making everyone stay late for these quarterly safety reports. Can we do a rain check? Love you." I sat there on the edge of our bed reading those words over and over. 35 years old today, and she was bailing on the one company event I'd actually been looking forward to. I'd been reminding her about this barbecue for 2 weeks straight. Hell, I'd even bought new khakis specifically for meeting her coworkers, thinking maybe this time I'd finally feel like part of her professional world. Our son Ryan was still asleep down the hall, and I could hear his little snores through the baby monitor we probably should have stopped using a year ago. Ashley always insisted on keeping it, said it gave her peace of mind, though lately she seemed to have plenty of other things occupying her thoughts. I texted back quickly because that's what I always did. "No problem, work comes first. We'll celebrate another time." 3 words that had become my default response to disappointment. No problem, the universal way of saying I'm hurt, but I've learned not to show it because nothing ever changes anyway. I got up and stretched, feeling my back crack in multiple places. When had I gotten so old? When did the guy who used to work 12-hour days wiring commercial buildings turn into someone who grunted when bending down to tie his work boots? At least we had the lake house. My grandfather had left it to me when he passed 3 years ago, and it was the one thing Ashley couldn't complain about when money got tight. "At least we don't have a mortgage on the main house," I'd remind her during her stress sessions about expenses. The kitchen smelled like the coffee I'd programmed to start brewing at 6 E's. I poured myself a cup and stood by the window overlooking our backyard. The grass needed cutting again, even though I'd done it just 5 days ago. Texas summers were brutal on everything, including marriages apparently. I'd built Ryan's swing set in the corner 3 summers back. Took me 4 weekends and probably 6 trips to Home Depot, because I kept getting the measurements wrong, but I'd done it myself, and that mattered. My phone buzzed again. I figured it was Ashley with another apology, or maybe something to soften the blow. Instead, it was my sister Lindsay calling from Dallas. I let it ring twice before answering. "Happy birthday, big brother," she said, and I could hear genuine warmth in her voice, something I hadn't heard from my wife in months. "Thanks, Lynn. You're up early for a Saturday. Wanted to catch you before. You got busy with birthday celebrations? Ashley throwing you something special?" I paused, not wanting to lie, but not ready to admit the truth. She had to work. Last-minute thing. The silence on the other end stretched just long enough to be uncomfortable. Lindsay had never been Ashley's biggest fan, said she was too polished, like she's always performing for an audience. I'd dismissed it back then, thinking my sister was just being protective. Now I wondered what else she'd seen that I'd been too blind to notice. "Work on your birthday? On a Saturday? You know how it is. Quarterly reports." "Right." She didn't sound convinced. "Well, the offer stands if you and Ryan want to drive up here. We could hit that BBQ place you love, let the kids run around the backyard. Maybe next weekend. This one's shot anyway." After we hung up, my work buddies started chiming in on our group chat with their birthday messages, but nothing else from Ashley. Just that one text about canceling. I heard Ryan thundering down the stairs in that way only a 6-year-old can manage when they're excited about something, his feet hitting each step like tiny hammers. He burst into the kitchen wearing his Batman pajamas and the biggest smile I'd seen all week. "Happy birthday, Daddy!" He crashed into me with the full force of his 40-pound frame, and I lifted him up, swung him around once like I always did, like my dad had done with me back in the day. For a moment, everything else disappeared. This was enough. This had to be enough. We spent the next hour making chocolate chip pancakes together, getting flour everywhere, and telling terrible knock-knock jokes that Ryan thought were absolutely hilarious. He told me about school, about how some kid named Cody got in trouble for putting glue in another kid's hair, about how his teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, said they were starting a unit on electricity next week. "The big machines, Dad, the ones you work on. Did you know they can power a whole building?" He spread his hands about 2 feet apart, which seemed physically impossible for most electrical components, but I didn't correct him. His enthusiasm reminded me why I'd gotten into electrical work in the first place. The idea that invisible forces could bring light and power to people's lives. "Where's Mom?" he asked with a mouthful of pancake, chocolate chips smeared on his cheek. "She had to work late. Big project." He just nodded, like this made perfect sense, like this was completely normal. Because it was normal now. This had become our normal. Ashley working late, missing dinner, missing bedtime stories, missing the small moments that actually matter when you're 6 years old, and your world is only as big as what your parents show you. "Is she coming to the barbecue?" he asked, and my heart sank. I'd forgotten we'd told him about the company event. "The barbecue got canceled, buddy. Maybe next time." "They always get canceled," he said quietly, then went back to his pancakes like he was used to disappointment too. After breakfast, I cleaned up while Ryan watched cartoons in the living room. I kept checking my phone. Still nothing from Ashley except that one cancellation text. No follow-up, no, "I really am sorry," no happy birthday, nothing. Just silence stretching on and on like a rubber band about to snap. Around 11:30, she finally texted again. "Work is absolutely insane. Shane is making everything so complicated. Miss you both." 2 words at the end that felt automatic, like she'd suddenly remembered she should probably say something affectionate to her husband on his birthday. I typed back, "No worries, Ryan and I are having a good day. Hope work settles down." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then nothing. The digital equivalent of a conversation dying mid-sentence. I took Ryan to Memorial Park like I'd planned. We fed the ducks at the pond, even though there were signs everywhere saying not to feed the ducks. But it was my birthday, and rules felt negotiable today. Ryan laughed every time a duck waddled over to grab the bread pieces we brought from breakfast, and I took about 50 photos on my phone, because that's what you do when you're trying to convince yourself that this is enough, that you're grateful, that you're not slowly fading into the background of your own life. "Dad, look at that one!" Ryan pointed to a particularly aggressive mallard that had claimed an entire section of the pond. "He's the boss duck." "Yeah, he sure is." I watched the boss duck chase away smaller ducks, protecting what he saw as his territory. Something about that resonated with me in ways I wasn't ready to examine. Around 2 years in the afternoon, I made the mistake of checking Facebook. I barely use social media. My account was mostly pictures of Ryan, some photos from fishing trips to the lake house, the occasional meme Lindsay tagged me in, and group photos from work barbecues that Ashley never attended because she was always too busy. But Ashley was active. Ashley posted everything. Her morning coffee arranged artfully next to motivational books. Her outfits laid out on our bed with captions about choosing confidence, motivational quotes about girl boss energy and manifesting success. Weekend brunches with her work friends at trendy restaurants I'd never heard of. She had almost 2,000 followers, which seemed crazy to me for an administrative coordinator at a construction company. But she'd explained once that it was called personal branding, and it mattered for career advancement. I scrolled through my feed, and there it was, posted 23 minutes ago. A photo of the company conference room transformed into something straight out of Pinterest. Balloon arches in blue and silver that probably cost more than my monthly truck payment. A custom cake with elaborate frosting work that definitely cost $150s or more. A table covered in expensive whiskey bottles. I recognized a few labels that retailed for $80, $120 each, and gift boxes wrapped in designer paper with those perfect bows that you pay extra for at fancy stores. Gold and blue decorations everywhere, coordinated like someone had spent hours planning every detail. A banner reading, "Happy Birthday Shane," in fancy script lettering that looked professionally done. This wasn't a last-minute office celebration. This was an event. Ashley was in the photo standing next to her boss, Shane Collins, the guy I'd met exactly 3 times in 2 years of her working there. He was 38, divorced about 2 years back, wore polo shirts that probably cost more than my work boots, drove a white Ford F-150 that was always spotless, had the kind of smile that belonged in a toothpaste commercial, and knew it. His arm was around Ashley's shoulders in the photo, casual but possessive, like it belonged there. She was beaming, actually beaming, with a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months, maybe longer. When was the last time Ashley had looked at me like that? When was the last time she'd looked at me at all? Really looked, instead of glancing up from her phone with that distracted expression that said her mind was somewhere else entirely? The caption read, When your boss turns 38, you celebrate properly. Shane, you're not just an incredible leader, but an amazing mentor and friend. Here's to another year of crushing goals together. Boss, appreciation, teamwork, work family, grateful, leadership, success. I sat down on the park bench and read the caption again, then again. I looked at the photo again, zooming in on details. At the balloons that someone had to order days in advance. At the cake that required a special order from an upscale bakery. At the expensive whiskey that someone had to research and purchase. At the decorations that took time to coordinate and hang. At her smile that I used to think was reserved for me. Things are crazy at the office. That's what she'd told me this morning. Too busy for a company barbecue with her family, too swamped to spend her husband's birthday with him, but somehow had found the time to plan this elaborate celebration for her boss. Not just found the time, made the time, prioritized it, invested in it. My thumb hovered over the screen. I could like it. That's what a supportive husband would do, right? I could comment something nice, something about how proud I was of her dedication to her work. But I didn't do anything. I just stared at it until I heard Ryan's voice cutting through the fog in my head. "Dad, you look sad." I looked up. He was standing in front of me, holding his jacket, having apparently retrieved it from where he'd dropped it by the duck pond. He was looking at me with those big brown eyes that saw way too much for a 6-year-old, eyes that reminded me of my own father's. Observant, concerned, protective even at such a young age. "I'm not sad, buddy." "They forgot you again, didn't they?" he whispered, glancing at my phone screen where Ashley's post was still displayed. The question hit me like a punch to the gut. He'd noticed. Of course he'd noticed. He'd noticed every late dinner, every missed soccer game, every time Ashley had promised to be somewhere, and then texted at the last minute with an excuse about work emergencies and important meetings. He'd noticed his mother slowly disappearing into a life that didn't seem to include us anymore. And he'd started keeping score in the way children do when their world doesn't make sense. "Mom's just really busy with work," I said, which was my default excuse by now, the lie I told him and myself every time this pattern repeated. "She remembered his birthday," Ryan said quietly, looking at the photo on my phone screen. The simple observation cut deeper than any accusation could have. I didn't have an answer for that. What could I say? That sometimes adults make choices that hurt the people they're supposed to love most, that his mother had found something more exciting than her family, that I was just as confused and hurt as he was, but I was supposed to be the adult who had answers. We went home around 4. Ryan wanted to play video games, so I set him up with his console and went to the garage. I needed to work with my hands, needed to feel useful and competent at something. I spent an hour organizing my tool chest, checking wire strippers, testing voltage meters, arranging screwdrivers by size and type. Physical work that made sense, unlike everything else in my life. Tools that did what they were supposed to do, that served their purpose reliably. That's when I made the decision that would change everything. I opened my laptop and started making phone calls I should have made months ago. The first call was to Brett Wilson, my college buddy who'd gone to law school while I went into the trades. We'd stayed friends in that sporadic way men do. Occasional texts about football games, beers when schedules aligned, Christmas cards with updates about kids and promotions. "Zach Palmer, as I live and breathe," Brett answered on the second ring. "Happy birthday, man. I was going to call you later. How's the big 3-5 treating you?" "Thanks. Listen, Brett, I need some legal advice." There was a pause, and I could almost hear him shifting into lawyer mode. "What's going on? Are you okay?" "I'm fine. I just need to understand some things about asset protection, hypothetically speaking." Another longer pause. Brett was smart, probably the smartest guy I'd known in college. He knew hypothetically was code for, "This is real, but I'm not ready to admit it yet." "Asset protection from what, Zach?" "From a marriage that might not be as solid as I thought." I heard him exhale slowly. "Jesus, Ashley? I don't know yet. Maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe I'm reading too much into things. But I need to know what my options are, what I should be documenting, how to protect myself and Ryan if things go sideways." He walked me through everything with a methodical precision I remembered from our college study sessions. Did I have a prenup? No. We'd been young and in love and convinced we were forever. Joint accounts? Yes, for checking and savings, both our names added when we married 8 years ago. The lake house? In my name only, inherited before we met. That was good, he said. Inherited property usually stays separate in Texas. What about income? I made about $62,000 running electrical for commercial construction projects. She made around $55,000 as an administrative coordinator, so relatively equal earning power, which was helpful for court dynamics. Any evidence of infidelity? Not concrete evidence, not yet. But my gut was telling me something was wrong, and I'd learned to trust that instinct over the years. Then start documenting everything, Brett said. Every text message, every time she says she's working late, every unusual expense. Take screenshots, keep records, note dates and times. Don't confront her yet, Zach. You need information first. Knowledge is power in these situations. What about Ryan? That's where it gets complicated. Texas courts favor joint custody, but they also prioritize stability and the best interests of the child. If you can prove she's been absent, neglectful, or putting her affair above her parental responsibilities, that strengthens your position significantly. And financially, open a separate bank account in your name only. Start moving some money there. Not everything, that looks vindictive, but enough to cover expenses if things get ugly. Maybe 10 or 15% of your monthly income. If she notices and asks, tell her you're saving for a surprise vacation or home improvement project. After I hung up, I sat in my garage for a long time, surrounded by tools and half-finished projects, thinking about how you can live with someone for 8 years and still not really know them. I opened a new checking account online through my credit union and transferred $2,800 from our joint savings. Enough to get started, but not enough to trigger immediate suspicion. Then I called Lindsay back. "How was the birthday celebration?" she asked, but her tone suggested she already knew the answer. "Ashley had to work. Last-minute crisis." "On your birthday, on a Saturday." "Yeah." "Zach, can I ask you something as your sister who loves you?" "Shoot." "When was the last time Ashley prioritized you over her job? When was the last time she chose being with you over being somewhere else?" I thought about it, really thought about it, and realized I couldn't remember. Months, maybe longer. "Why are you asking?" "Because I've been watching this pattern for a while, and I'm worried about you. More importantly, I'm worried about Ryan. Kids notice everything, even when we think they don't. He asked me today if they'd forgotten me again." Lindsay was quiet for a moment. "Jesus, Zach." "I know. What are you going to do?" "I'm gathering information, understanding my options." "Good. It's about damn time. And Zach, whatever you find, whatever you decide to do, Ryan and I are here for you. You're not alone in this." The next morning, Ashley came home at 7:15. I was making Ryan's lunch when she walked in, kissed my cheek with lips that felt cold and distant, asked if I'd slept well with the practiced casualness of someone reading from a script, then went upstairs to shower. The lies had become so effortless, she didn't even bother making them elaborate anymore, just the bare minimum of interaction required to maintain the illusion of a marriage. I listened to the water running upstairs and wondered when we'd become strangers living in the same house, passing each other like ghosts who occasionally shared small talk about grocery lists and Ryan's school schedule. Over the next 2 weeks, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. Ashley worked late 3 nights the first week, 4 nights the second week. Each time, I told Ryan I was running to the hardware store for supplies and drove by her office building instead. Her car wasn't there, not once. The construction company parking lot was nearly empty by 6:30 p.m. both times I checked. Just a few vehicles belonging to security and maintenance crews. I started checking our credit card statements with the methodical precision I used when troubleshooting electrical problems. What I found made my stomach drop. Charges at restaurants I'd never heard of. Romano's Macaroni Grill, the Capitol Grill, Fleming's Prime Steakhouse. Always on weeknights. Always expensive. $85 here, $127 there, $156 for what the statement listed as dining and entertainment. When I looked up the restaurants online, they all had the same theme: romantic lighting, extensive wine lists, the kind of places you take someone you're trying to impress. Then there were charges at Nordstrom, Anthropologie, Sephora, stores Ashley rarely shopped at before, stores that required more disposable income than an administrative coordinator's salary typically provided. New clothes, expensive makeup, professional styling services. She was investing in herself, but not for me. When she came home wearing a new dress or with her hair done differently. It was never for a date night with her husband. It was always for work events I wasn't invited to, meetings that ran late, team-building exercises that didn't include spouses. The final piece of evidence came on a Tuesday evening when Ashley left her phone charging in the kitchen while she took a shower. I wasn't snooping, wasn't deliberately invading her privacy. The screen lit up with an incoming text, and I glanced at it reflexively. What I saw made my blood run cold. Can't wait for our weekend at the lake. Finally have you all to myself. S. Our lake, my grandfather's lake house. She was planning to take Shane Collins to the one place that meant everything to my family, the place where 3 generations of Palmer men had learned to fish, where my grandfather had taught me about responsibility and integrity, where I'd proposed to Ashley 7 years ago, under the old oak tree by the water's edge. Some lines you don't cross, some betrayals you don't forgive. I took a screenshot of the text before the screen went dark, my hands shaking with a combination of rage and something colder, something more calculating. This wasn't just about an affair anymore. This was about desecration. This was about taking the one sacred space my family had and turning it into the setting for her betrayal. That's when I called Brett back. I need that private investigator's number you mentioned. Are you sure about this, Zach? Once you go down this road, there's no going back. Whatever you find, you can't unknow it. I'm sure. Wade Thompson was a former Austin PD detective who specialized in domestic investigations. Professional, discreet, and expensive at $125 an hour plus expenses. We met at a coffee shop near the university, and I laid out everything I knew: the late nights, the restaurant charges, the text about the lake house, the pattern of lies that had become Ashley's new normal. How long do you want me to follow her? Wade asked, taking notes in a small leather notebook. This weekend. She's planning something at my family's lake house, and I need documentation. Photo evidence, video if possible, timestamps, witness statements if there are any neighbors around. Full package? Full package. My retainer is $1,000 up front. That covers the first 8 hours of surveillance, plus a written report with all evidence. You sure you want to know what I'm going to find? I thought about Ryan, about the way he'd started asking fewer questions about where his mother was, as if he'd learned not to expect her to be present. I thought about the grandfather who'd taught me that a man protects what matters most to him, and sometimes protection means taking difficult action. I'm sure. I hired Wade Thompson to follow Ashley the following Friday evening. She'd told me she was staying late for inventory reports and wouldn't be home until after midnight. By 6:47 p.m., Wade was texting me updates. She's heading toward Lake Travis, silver Honda Civic, license plate matches, not going to any office building. At 7:23, subject arrived at lakefront property. Male subject in separate vehicle arrived 5 minutes later. White Ford F-150, license plate registered to Shane Collins. At 7:30, both subjects inside residence, lights on in main bedroom, curtains drawn. I sat in my living room with Ryan asleep upstairs, looking at those text messages and feeling something cold and final settle in my chest. She'd done it. She'd actually taken him to our family lake house, to the place where my grandfather had taught me to fish when I was Ryan's age, where I'd learned about patience and integrity and the importance of keeping your word. Some betrayals cut so deep, they change you permanently. Some violations are so complete that forgiveness becomes impossible, not because you can't forgive, but because the person you'd be forgiving no longer exists in any meaningful way. But I didn't explode. I didn't drive out there and kick down the door like some jealous husband in a bad movie. Instead, I did something much more calculated, something that would teach both of them that actions have consequences, that some people's lives can't be disrupted without cost. I found Shane Collins' address in the company directory that Ashley had left on the kitchen counter. I looked up his divorce records online, public information in Travis County. His ex-wife Stephanie lived 22 minutes from the lake house with their 2 kids, Cody and Sean, ages 8 and 10. According to the custody agreement, Shane was supposed to have the boys every other weekend and Wednesday evenings. I called Stephanie Collins Saturday morning at 9:15 a.m., my hands surprisingly steady as I dialed. Mrs. Collins, this is Zach Palmer. I work with Shane at the construction company. I'm calling because I think you need to know something about where your ex-husband is spending his weekend. There was a long pause. I'm sorry, who is this? My name is Zach Palmer. I'm married to Ashley Palmer, who works as Shane's administrative coordinator. I'm calling because Shane told your boys he couldn't take them fishing this weekend because he had to work, but he's actually at my family's lake house with my wife. They've been having an affair for months." Another pause, longer this time. I could hear children's voices in the background, probably Cody and Sean getting ready for whatever Saturday plans they'd made to fill the time their father had abandoned them for. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. Lake Travis, 1247 Waterfront Drive. They're there right now. My private investigator confirmed it last night. I thought you and your boys might want to pay him a surprise visit, especially since he was supposed to be taking them fishing today anyway." "That son of a bitch," she said quietly, and I could hear years of frustration and broken promises in those 4 words. "He was supposed to pick them up at 8 this morning. Told them yesterday he had some emergency project that couldn't wait. The boys have been sitting by the window for an hour with their fishing gear. Well, he's definitely not working, unless you count what he's doing with my wife as work. Mr. Palmer, I don't know you, but thank you for this call. We'll be there in 45 minutes. Mrs. Collins, bring the boys. Let them see what kind of man their father really is." At 10:30 a.m., I called Wade. "Thompson, I need you back at the lake house. Things are about to get interesting, and I want everything documented." "You got it, boss. What am I documenting?" "Justice." At 12:17 p.m., Wade sent me the first photo. A white minivan pulling into the driveway of my grandfather's lake house. At 12:19, another photo. Stephanie Collins getting out of the driver's seat, her face set with determination. Behind her, 2 young boys in fishing gear and life vests, carrying tackle boxes and rods, excited about the surprise fishing trip they thought their dad had arranged. At 12:22, kids are knocking on the front door, no answer, walking around a back deck. At 12:25, male subject spotted through bedroom window, panic mode activated. Female subject, your wife, visible behind him, frantically searching for clothes. At 12:27, ex-wife and children now on back deck, clear view through sliding glass doors, boys asking loudly why daddy is in house with strange lady. At 12:31, male subject attempting to exit through back door in underwear, ex-wife blocking exit, children demanding explanations, neighbors from adjoining properties coming out to investigate commotion. At 12:35, your wife now dressed, attempting to leave through front door, ex-wife intercepting, heated argument in driveway, children crying, asking why daddy lied about work emergency. At 12:42, male subject fully dressed, trying to console children while ex-wife documents everything on her phone, your wife arguing with everyone. Real shit show, my friend. At 12:51, all subjects departing separately. Ex-wife and kids heading back toward Austin. Male subject's truck won't start. Appears to be having mechanical issues. Your wife's car already gone. Subject calling for roadside assistance. I sat in my kitchen reading these updates and felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Satisfaction. Not the petty kind, but the deeper satisfaction that comes from seeing justice served, from watching actions meet their appropriate consequences. That evening, Ashley came home around 7:30. Her face was red and blotchy, her hair a mess, her clothes wrinkled. She looked like she'd been through hell, which was exactly where she'd spent the afternoon. "We need to talk," she said, setting her purse down with the careful precision of someone trying to appear calm. "Do we? Zach, I can explain everything. Can you explain why you took Shane Collins to my grandfather's lake house?" Her face went white. "How did you?" "I know everything, Ashley. The restaurants, the lies about working late, the credit card charges, the text messages, all of it. But taking him to the lake house? That crossed a line you can't uncross." She started crying, but they were angry tears, not remorseful ones. "It was a mistake. I got confused about my priorities. Shane made me feel appreciated, valued, but it didn't mean anything." "It meant nothing? You desecrated my grandfather's house. You lied to our son about where you were. You destroyed our family for a middle-aged divorced dad who can't even keep his promises to his own kids. Stephanie had no right to show up with those children. Those children had every right to see what kind of man their father really is. Just like Ryan has the right to see what kind of mother you really are." She tried everything then, begged for counseling, promised to quit her job, swore it would never happen again, claimed it was a midlife crisis, said Shane had manipulated her. But some betrayals cut too deep. Some trust, once broken, can't be repaired. Some violations are so complete that the person you married essentially dies, replaced by a stranger wearing their face. I filed for divorce the following Monday. The custody hearing 3 weeks later was swift and decisive. Judge Taylor reviewed the evidence: Wade's photographs, the credit card statements, the witness testimony from Stephanie Collins about finding them together, and most importantly, testimony about Ashley's pattern of absence from Ryan's life. Ashley got alternating weekends and 1 evening per week. Ryan stayed with me in his home, his school, his life. 6 months later, I stood on the deck of my grandfather's lake house on a Saturday morning, watching Ryan cast his fishing line into the water. The place felt clean again, sacred again, ours again. I'd had the locks changed, the bedding replaced, the whole place professionally cleaned. It was our sanctuary once more. "Dad," Ryan said, reeling in his line, "are you happy now?" I looked at my son and realized something profound. I'd thought ending my marriage would feel like loss. Instead, it felt like freedom. "Yeah, buddy, I'm happy." "Me too," he said, casting his line back out. "This is better." We spent the morning fishing in comfortable silence. Two guys who'd learned that sometimes the best thing you can do for your family is protect it from people who don't value it.